Ahoy everyone, Tightrope here, and in this video we're taking a look at the balance changes to the Allied factions from the 1.60 patch. Having a look at the US Forces balance changes, and we're starting out with the Mechanized Support Center. First off, it no longer has healing next to it, which always felt very slow and kind of hard to access, especially if you had like a engine damaged vehicle trying to get it back here to repair. It was pretty hard to achieve most of the time, so it didn't get utilized too often, especially in big team game maps. So now they've replaced it with designate forward repair station. So it's over here, same where the air support center would be. And yeah, you can activate this. Has to be on a territory point. Can't be in neutral enemy, which is interesting. I thought it was going to be like a structure that you would auto-construct somewhere that you could maybe put in your base or wherever, like right on the edge. But no, you have to put it on a territory sector. And it has 6 health per second repair. So engineers have 8. So 3/4 the rate of them. Don't think you can control what it repairs either. And it's not aura healing as well. It only repairs one thing at a time. Make a clipboard copy this. Make another one. You see that these guys are not getting repaired. So one vehicle at a time, and I believe they will heal up your teammates' tanks as well. But yeah, after the first one, if this one, let's see what happens if this falls into enemies' hands.
Let's roll them out, boys.
Yep. You lose it, and then the next ones after that are 100 manpower to activate again. So I suppose, you know, like, maybe at 100 manpower, you might want to just go for another engineer just to get the power of sweeping, especially with the extra speed you get from this. Gives you more utility. But maybe in like the ultra late game, you're kind of butting up against your manpower and population cap. I've got it set to 700 here, but you might want to activate this again. But yeah, it gives you free, more easy to access, bit more utility, which is nice. I think that was one of the issues. Infantry Support Center was so good compared to the other two because your bonuses, you know, the captain gives you compared to repairs back here was just so good. But now this, yeah, gives the Mechanized Support Center a lot more utility. They also altered all of the upgrades that are available in the Mechanized Support Center, starting out with the new one here, Rapid Repairs. This upgrades the forward repair station, so it no longer costs manpower to reactivate, and increases the rate of repair by 3 health per second. So definitely if you've got the fuel to spare, get this instead of just reactivating this, because only 25 manpower more, then you can just keep activating it for free. Later on in the game, you can only have one. Only have one of these at a time. Just important to note. To make space for that, they combined 2 things. The smoke shells, or smoke rounds, and specialized munitions. That's now called rearm and retrofit. So yeah, overall, it's a cost decrease to get both of them. But yeah, if you want to access one specifically, it's going to be a bit harder to do that. On top of this, they kind of locked away the Hellcat speed upgrade, it's worth mentioning, into this now. So you need rearm and retrofit to get the Hellcat speed boost. They've also nerfed the cost on improvised armor preemptively. Maybe they're expecting the Mechanized Support Center to be quite good. And they mention now in the description here that it decreases damage coming in from handheld anti-tank. So yeah, it was like a bit of a pocket strategy. Maybe sometimes, like way back when the game first launched, you get this in going up against Jaeger Shreks to decrease the amount of damage they did to your Sherman tanks. I remember seeing, I think, Jibber doing that a little bit. So maybe they're expecting for this Mechanized Support Center to be quite good again. And they preemptively nerfed this. And then they also decreased the cost on the 76mm Sherman by 25 manpower, I think. So yeah, quite a lot of changes here. They're trying to make Mechanized Support Center a more viable option again. They also changed a lot of things in the Infantry Support Center, starting out with the captain. Now only has 3 models as stock. So it's a pretty big change. They also changed the range on his vet ability marked vehicle. It's got 5 more range now on this. So I think that was probably sensible. It's the same as sight range, and pretty much everybody was using the Mortar Strike anyway, so making this a little bit more appealing. On top of that, they changed his veterancy. I don't know if it was like a buff or a nerf, because I don't know what his veterancy was before. But yeah, they changed his veterancy, and then they also reduced the Vet 3 requirements, which I think makes sense, because if you've only got 3/4 the amount of damage you were doing before, then it's going to be harder for us to vet up. So probably sensible changes to the captain. Also, if you lose the captain, to rebuild him now only costs 150 manpower, so it's actually pretty cheap, and I would definitely consider rebuilding the captain with all the utility you can get from him. They also changed 2 of the upgrades in the Infantry Support Center. Advanced Logistics and Survival Training got a manpower cost decrease, but a 20 fuel increase. So if you wanted to stay on motor pool, go for these upgrades, you know, you're going to be heavily delaying your tank depot and your later game tanks in that process. So yeah, you're going to have to invest quite a lot into your infantry play early on if that's your plan. I still don't think, you know, I still think it'll be possible with US Forces Armored Battlegroup to go for these upgrades and just go for easy 8 call-ins. So I don't know if it really affected that strategy too much. I guess we'll have to see how the fuels exactly work out. But yeah, I feel like with the stall-in strategies, it's not going to be too punishing, but with other strategies, you're going to be like stuck on chaffies and AT guns if you want to get these boosts out earlier. The Sherman has received a manpower cost reduction by 20, which I don't think is really going to push it into becoming relevant. It doesn't have the best performance, and a lot of the Axis mediums have received buffs in the last few patches. The Panzer III's got a lot of machine gun buffs, the frontal armor buff. The Panzer IV, a few patches ago, got the armored skirts upgrade. This patch is also getting cost reduction, tech cost reductions, and a rate of fire buff. So I think people are not going to build these naturally too much, but maybe they're expecting, combined up with the 76mm upgrade, that this will help push these Sherman to become relevant. I don't really think so, but we'll see how it goes. They also changed the smoke launchers, which you get on the Sherman through the rearm retrofit upgrade now. So previously it would shoot at like right, pretty much a 90-degree angle up, and now it's like a natural kind of arcing motion. I will say that, you know, compared to Code 2, if you're like driving along, try to activate it, it's not quite as smooth, like in terms of trying to do it on the move. And yeah, it will interrupt it as well. You won't shoot multiple smoke shells when you shoot the one. It'll kind of cancel it as you drive, but you can get a little bit of drifty smoke action happening as you decelerate. But yeah, not as clean as Code 2 in that department. The Bazooka Team's White Phosphorus rocket has been heavily nerfed. First off, its damage when it initially impacts has been completely removed, used to 60, now does 0. And on top of that, its damage over time has been reduced from 10 to 7. So let's see how it goes up against a MG42 here. So yeah, not nearly as lethal. Still okay, but no longer like the main reason you'll make a Bazooka Team anymore, and doesn't even get it down to like easy kill range either with that. And this is, you know, machine gun. This is like the lowest health unit in the game, 80 health. So that's the best it's ever going to do, about 3/4 to a squad. That's a, you know, that's a big nerf. I don't know. I think from now on I'll probably go with a sprint instead. It's a bit sad because, you know, I feel like the anti-tank satchel is pretty badly overpriced as well, considering how hard this is to get off. With all the other snare changes this patch, this kind of got overlooked, I feel. While we are on the topic of bazookas, worth mentioning, in the Weapons Support Center there is a new upgrade now. Improved bazooka rockets. So it just gives them a straight 33% damage upgrade. Pretty expensive here. 40 fuel. It's the same cost as bars. But bars gives you a free bar on every single one of your riflemen. This doesn't give you like a free bazooka on anything, right? So it's pretty expensive. I don't think it'll see much use at this kind of cost. Maybe I could see it like, maybe if you're like memeing around with rangers, going for like a very ranger heavy build. But then, you know, you have to build this tech structure to get this, because, you know, you need this tech structure to make your rangers in the first place. So it's very hard to access. I don't think this will see much play. The Hellcat received a couple changes. It got its speed buff locked behind the Mechanized Support Center like we saw earlier. It also got a long-range accuracy increase, which is okay. Less frustrating misses on it, but it got a reload nerf to compensate for that. So 0.75 of a second per shot reload nerf. So we'll see how it does in some brawls here.
Guns are loaded.
Up against the Stug and against the Panzer IV. I think it already got a reload nerf a couple patches ago, such that the Panzer IV would win the head-to-head like this, right? So we'll see how it goes now.
Hellcat has been wrecked. We can't hail our Hellcat. Crew dead.
So it loses the head-to-head against the Stug now, I think, is the side effect of this reload nerf. It loses to the Panzer IV as well. Interesting. You don't need the armored skirts upgrade. It doesn't change the shots to kill here. 80 more health, as you can see, wouldn't change anything. The Bulldozer has been nerfed. It's had a cost increase by 20 manpower and 10 fuel. It's also had a speed decrease, I think it's from 5.5 to 5.2. Still looks like fine in terms of speed, with the blade up at least. I do think the Bulldozer was overperforming, did need a bit of a nerf. I was actually expecting a nerf to its anti-vehicle performance. It has 50% deflection damage, so that means when it fails to penetrate, when it lands on a vehicle, it will still do half its damage, which is 60 damage per shot. I was expecting that maybe to get nerfed down to like a third, 40 damage per shot, because it did feel like it was just too much of a generous at this stage after the scatter buffs it got. It was landing a lot of shots on tanks and just doing too much damage to vehicles in general. That's the nerf I was expecting. SSF Commandos received a couple buffs, mainly to their LMG. It received improved accuracy at mid and close range, also a mid-range cooldown buff. On top of that, Commandos themselves got a reload bonus at Vet 2, or more reload bonus at Vet 2, which tends to affect the bazookas more than the LMGs, and the rest of the weapons, but so we're going to see how they go now against some STOS at mid-range. I had a look at the numbers, and SSF Commandos mid-range starts at 22.5, which is quite far away. This is 15 range away. 22.5, it's about here-ish. Quite far away for a mid-range, like really, when their max range is 35. So this is going to give them a pretty big damage increase, over like a very usable range with these changes. So I'm going to try them out against some STOS at both close and long range. Okay, so at point blank, the Commandos win every single time. Cover to cover seems a bit more even. So mid-range cover to cover seems to be a very even fight between these two. Pretty much a toss-up at, what was this, 15 range away? Which is actually kind of interesting. There was something else that I wanted to mention about LMGs that I only just discovered while I was looking up the stats of the Johnson of the SSF Commandos in the process of making this video. Is that here it said bars do slightly better against garrisons heavy cover than other small arms. And I wasn't aware of this. This was also on the Johnson. And you can see that up against garrisons, it's got extra damage. Usually it does half damage, but now it's 0.7. It's the same thing about heavy cover against heavy cover. I think usually accuracy is 0.5 rather than 0.55. And extra damage against garrisons. So yeah, this applies to bars as well. You can see they've got the same numbers here. Fire superiority was an interesting case actually. This gets like some crazy changes. Now you get even more accuracy against cover with fire superiority on. So you can see that you get extra 0.2 or so accuracy at all ranges with fire superiority going. So yeah, that was something I was unaware of. Seems like LMGs in general have bonus accuracy maybe and bonus damage against heavy garrisons. So you see we get the paratrooper LMG. They also have this property. If we compare this to like a regular small arms, maybe Garand of the rifleman. So yeah, they have the 0.55 accuracy against garrisons, but yeah, 0.5 against accuracy against heavy cover. So yeah, this is something that I wasn't aware of, and it means that they are quite good then against units in garrisons, LMGs. Something to look out for. Something I don't think I was ever told anywhere. And I did check this on 1 or 2 Axis units as well, just to see if things were even. Fallschirmjäger, they don't get it, which is interesting, but the MG42 on the STOS, which is Stormtroopers they're called in the patch notes, they do get it. So yeah, it seems like in this game, LMGs have a extra damage against garrisons compared to other small arms, and they get it against heavy cover as well. Did the paratroopers get it against heavy cover? They did. Okay, yeah. Something that I don't know, and hopefully it's information to you. Maybe I'll include it in a tips and tricks video sometime down the line. Rangers Vet 3 has been changed. They used to deal 33% bonus damage, but now that's been changed to an accuracy bonus instead. And I could definitely imagine, like I haven't played with Rangers that much, but I could imagine that Vet 3 with certain weapons, mainly the flamethrower and the bazooka, that could be problematic, especially when you consider they've added that new upgrade to bazookas. So maybe they're worried about that 33% upgrade stacking up with the Rangers Vet 3 upgrade and just being way too strong against tanks. So yeah, okay, that's fine. The artillery beacon that the artillery observers can construct is having its armor halved from 3 to 1.5. On top of that, units that automatically detect it and spot it will just start shooting at it instead of having to give a manual command. So what we're going to try and do here is we're going to run the Grenadier past this. See if we can kill it on the way through. See just how vulnerable it is to small arms now. On top of this, remember, detection range did get changed. Increased by like 2.5 range, I think. So it will be easy to spot these. So they didn't quite kill it just as they were incidentally running past it. The M8 Scott has received a few changes, mainly to its performance against bunkers and emplacements. First off, its damage penalty that it used to have on its barrage and regular attack has been removed against bunkers. I think that may have been introduced when Italian Coastal was added to the game, because they were worried about it being too strong countering that, which definitely turned out not to be the case. They've also changed the bunker busting barrage here, this Vet 1 ability. So first off, it's had a muni cost added to it. It used to be free, now costs 35 munitions. They reduced the amount of bonus damage against emplacements and bunkers as well, which is interesting. But they've also massively improved its scatter, and they have improved its range from 50 to 75. And that is important because here we have the anti-tank bunker, and I actually thought that this used to be 60 range. I thought this was the same range as a pack, but it's actually 70 range. If we have a look in the stats here. AT bunker range 70. So yeah, I wasn't aware of that actually. I thought it was 60. I haven't played with this too much, and I thought maybe when I made my video about this it had 60 range. I could be misremembering. So we're going to try the Scott with its new range, 75 range up against the bunker. I do think that this range indicator is quite misleading on the bunker as well, by the way, because it goes off the center of the bunker, but I imagine it's probably off the tip of the gun, which is, as you can see there, maybe like 4 range further up, if this is the point, and then this is like very close to 5 range. So yeah, well, we're going to try the bunker buster both against a machine gun out in the open and up against a bunker with the bulwark upgrade. See how we go. So we're going to activate the bunker buster right on the center of the bunker. Oops. Oops. What's happened here? 75 range barrage. If you try and do it on the center of the bunker, the Scott's going to die. It might need 80 range. It does pretty good damage. But yeah, it might need 80 range because with the way that the range on this is working, seems to be shooting further, like almost 5 range further than it should maybe. And yeah, that's not ideal. See how it goes up against a machine gun out in the open now. Because with the tighter scatter, you might want to use this against team weapons, not just against bunkers. Massively overshot both of those. Okay, is it just going to overshoot every single shot? Okay, that's trash. Does it have a damage penalty against infantry? Let's have a look. Target table, here we go. Nope, doesn't have any penalties against stuff in the open. Oh, okay, so this is why it's so little damage, because it's the radius of damage on the bunker buster is way smaller. You can see that's 3 compared to this is 5.5, so it has a way smaller AoE. There was one more thing that I wanted to try just for my own curiosity. I'm going to try use the bunker buster super close range against a squad that's mega clumped up, because I saw in its AoE that it can do full 120 damage if it lands like right point blank. Just want to see, is that really viable? But it seems like even at this super close range, it is very wayward with its scatter. So your chances of actually landing a direct hit. Oh, here we go. So yeah, you can do some big damage if you land like directly on top of the enemy unit, but your chances of that happening seem to be quite bad with the scatter, and just the AoE damage is quite small, so if you miss, you're going to do very little, if nothing. The 75mm M3 has received a long-range accuracy boost, pretty good one as well, and probably justified because this thing seems to miss quite a lot. In fact, it seems to miss more often than its stats indicate it does. It's got pretty decent accuracy and 75% moving accuracy as well, but somehow it seems to miss a lot of shots. I haven't had a chance to deep dive and try to figure out if it is bugged yet or not, but yeah, the amount it seems to miss defies belief and defies the numbers in my experience. The Mortar Pit has been nerfed, its starting health has been reduced, and its vet requirements have been massively increased, like tripled, so much harder to vet it up now. One thing that I found was interesting is that before you upgrade the fighting position to the Mortar Pit, it's already got 640 health. So you upgrade it to the Mortar Pit, then it goes down to 480. So I made this half health. Let's see what happens when I...
Orders coming down the chain. Listen up.
482.
Down.
If you are unaware, the Mortar Pit gains a lot of health when it vets up. You can see in Vet 3 it's 1200, and Vet 2 it's 840. Though I think there was, at least there used to be a bug where when it'll get to a third health, it will just like die instead of getting to 0 health. So let's see if that is the case still.
Weapons. We got our orders engaged.
Can't see. I don't think there's like a... Oh yeah, we can walk down here maybe. No. Can't see health on structures. You can with squads, unfortunately. Yeah, see? When it gets down to like a bit under half health, like a third-ish health, it just insta-dies. So there's definitely some funky business going on with the Vet 3 Mortar Pit. Let's see if that happens with the Vet 2 one as well. Yeah, next shot maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think so with the Vet 2 one as well. So yeah, there's some kind of funny business going on with the Mortar Pit where the health bonuses aren't really applying correctly. Having a look at the airborne battle group and the carpet bombing run inside of it, it's had a cost increase by 20 munitions. Also, it's no longer quite as wide. You can see it used to go out further, top and bottom. It's been tightened up a bit, which, you know, will make it maybe easy to dodge, but I think it will also make it better against bunkers by bringing the bombs closer together. Now, if you target, you know, through the middle, you'll be hitting the center row of bombs and then the edges of the top and bottom row of bombs against bunkers. So we'll see how we go. Got the command bunker here, as well as some bulwark upgraded bunkers. So these have 840 health, this has 960. I think it gives you maybe a third damage reduction, I think, as well, in the vicinity of the command bunker. So we'll see how carpet bombing goes against bunkers now. Because yeah, as I said, they'll be closer together now. So it should be more devastating against these stationary positions.
Reach the target. Don't give them a chance to fire back.
Knocked out the command bunker just fine.
Bingo fuel in and back to base.
These just hung in there. Don't know how much health they had. Oh, there we go. It showed there. Not very much. So yeah, I think it will kill like just normal bulwark bunkers, like 840, 960 health and below. But if you got everything juiced up, the command bunker and the bulwark, you won't quite kill the enemy bunkers with the copper bombing. But yeah, definitely better against bunkers than it used to be. The P47 Rocket Strike has had its delay before the plane comes through, reduced by 2 seconds. So let's see how that goes. See how that feels.
99 fighters here. That's a hard target. Sending rockets their way.
So yeah, still pretty dodgeable, I'd say, especially
Back to base.
with like a medium tank. But with like an engine damaged heavy, you're going to have a bit of trouble, especially if you're locked in to going straight back. If you're in a bit of a choke point, can't drive off to the sides to dodge it. Yeah, you're going to have quite a lot of trouble, and that does quite a lot of damage too. The Special Operations Battle Group has received a couple changes. First off to the P47 Anti-Infantry Loiter, costs 1 more command point to unlock it now, and also has had a 10 muni cost increase. Probably fine, that did seem to be slightly overperforming. On top of that, at the end here, similar to a few of the other call-ins, you now got an option. You can either call in the whiz-bang directly, 5 command points, or if you tick up to the tank depot, you can unlock this for free. I don't think there's any cost reduction associated with this though. This costs 380 and 80, so I believe that's the exact same as calling it in.
We have M29 weasels
Yeah,
ready to
so you
deploy.
don't get any discount through building it through tech. The Churchill Black Print in the Heavy Armor Battle Group has had its frontal armor increased to 440, which is really high. I will say that it is quite narrow, the frontal area, so a lot of the shots in game will probably be hitting on the sides, which is pretty high as well. But yeah, I do have a little bit of a worry that maybe it'll make it hard for anti-tank guns
My crew are ready.
to fight against something like the Black Prince. So we'll try that out here. We've got 3 anti-tank guns. Africa Core ones. Oops. Switch them to become enemy, and we're going to try fight them with the Black Prince head on. Try to space them out so you know they won't be stacked on top of each other, getting owned completely by the AoE. Pinning a lot here. Alright, maybe my fears are overblown. That wasn't too bad. Also in the Heavy Armor Battle Group, the regular Churchill is now locked behind tech. So you select it here for 0 command points, and then you build it from the company command post. So pretty much the only reason people were building Churchills more is because of the tech skipping function. Maybe you go for a lot of Crusaders, and then use that kind of momentum to carry you into the Churchill later on. Oftentimes the Black Prince with a higher command point cost would arrive too late to be effective, so you just go for the regular Churchills, and then maybe you invest in some training center upgrades and do your best from there. But yeah, now it has to compete against the Matilda, which is stiff competition. Did, I think, get a cost reduction maybe by something like 10 fuel, 40 manpower, something like that. So it is a bit more comparable in terms of cost to the Matilda. I think the Matilda has, oh, I didn't mention it yet, but we'll include it here. It got a armor nerf this patch, 20 less on the front and sides. So the Churchill, you know, is a bit more durable than it, especially in terms of health, though the Churchill is also slower than the Matilda. One other change to the Churchill this patch as well, you don't need Vet 1 to use this smoke anymore. But yeah, I think the Matilda is probably better in the anti-infantry, Churchill better in the anti-tank role. So there is a bit more of a differentiation between the two of them. But I think most people will still be looking for the wiping potential of the Matilda rather than the Churchill. It's a little bit awkward now, putting it behind tech. still it doesn't really seem that appealing. The CMP truck has upgrades locked behind platoon command posts. So that's the second stage of tech where you can build the CMP from. So I think the only way you could get it before this was through the Indian Artillery Battlegroup Heavy Mortar Call-in. And this was a very popular strategy with Brits, maybe like propping up their win rate a bit. You know, you go for quite a lot of early infantry, delay your tech, but save up quite a lot of resources, call in the heavy mortar, get the pulse in, and provides quite a lot of pressure up until like, you know, a 7-8 minute mark when your opponent fields their own light vehicle to counteract it. Pulson's not very strong, so tends to be when you lose a bit of momentum. And yeah, that was quite a strong early game, and now that is no longer possible anymore. Need to tech. So I don't know. At least in terms of 1v1s, this unit is significantly less relevant now. And a bit of a nerf to Indian artillery kind of shuts down one of the main openings that, or main starting builds that Brits have in ones. Royal Engineers are now able to build an HMG nest for 250 manpower. Takes 35 seconds to build, so that's not too long. Here it is over here. It's at 720 health, so I think that's the same health as the Wehrmacht bunkers. Looks like maybe it's got a wider arc. Right? Not crazy. I didn't actually check that. Also looks like it's got a longer range than the machine gun. Try to line these up so they're basically the exact same. Maybe be like a 1 range difference at maximum between the tip of the guns. So I wanted to test this out here. Okay, so we're going to try walk my Panzerpowers in. See what happens here.
Kriegsmarine is looking like enemy presence. We can't stay here. Panzer pioneers, quick march. Orders? You have problems, we have answers.
I might be running in.
Boys, we have movement orders. Grab your MG fire. He's carrying us up.
It's got more range, right? Do you see that? This is shooting, and this is like probably 4 range further away.
Don't fall behind. Get moving.
I looked at the stats.
Stay close. Maschinengewehr. Take cover.
I looked in the stats and it says it's got 45 range, but it feels like it's got an extra like 3 or 4 range or something. And now comparing the firing arcs of the MG bunker and the Vickers, you can see it is wider. Looking through the mod tools, it looked like they'd be the same, but it looks like maybe it'd be an extra 5, or maybe like 10 or 20 degrees total wider, maybe similar to what the Vickers used to have before the nerfs, like quite a few patches ago, when all machine guns, I think, got like about a 10 degree nerf to their arc. The Humber has been nerfed. It now requires more experience to vet up. So it used to be 800 on the first level, now it's 1000. And there was a bug in the previous couple patches where it was supposed to be higher, but it was only 800 more to vet up to vet 2 as well. So it raced through those first 2 stars of veterancy quite quickly. And that's no longer going to be the case. Yeah, it has vet requirements increased at all stages, so it's going to be much slower to vet up the Humber now, this patch. I will say that I don't think it felt that oppressive, vetting up so quickly. Like, the thing is so fragile, so easy to lose anyway. It didn't feel too bad to me, honestly, before this. The side tech to unlock the Grant now costs 10 more fuel. I do think the Grant was overperforming in the previous patch, and I was maybe expecting a slight nerf to its actual performance, maybe like a revert to the health buff, or maybe a slight reload nerf on it. But no, they just made it more expensive. And an important bug fix for the British forces in the training centre, the light vehicle training now properly grants 1200 experience. So for instance, the Stuart, 1200 to hit Vet 1. Pop this. Instant Vet 1 now, as it's supposed to. Previous to this patch, it was only giving 800. And what they did is they gave 1200 experience to infantry training, which is only supposed to give 800. But I think they've still left this in. We can see here that all of the elite squads have 1200 as their vet requirements. So, yeah, instant vet 1. So they fixed one, they didn't fix the other. So it means instant vet on these elites, which is obviously too good. I ran into like a instant vet 1 LMG commando the other day and it just smashed me. As always, a huge thank you goes out to my Patreon backers, and rumour has it they have better RNG than non-Patreon backers.